before us the ordinance that had been presented before with the subdivision regulations, I will say that I would easily vote for this. The realistic part of me can see it might be a struggle to get 3 votes.
Also on the benefit to trails, the first one, it says people need trails for health and happiness. I'm a pretty happy guy. And I don't think I need trails for health and happiness. I don't think that's really factual. It's a good selling point. But you don't need trails for health and happiness.
We might like trails. I like trails. I would like a safe place to take my children. But I will not walk a trail that has been taken by extortion or any other kind of force from another person.
It says this helps motivate people to exercise, and there's a strong link between trails and obesity. And when I first read this, I was thinking, is that really the role of government, is to give them a place to exercise, to take people's property?
Is it any right of any one of the individuals as council members to take a piece of property from somebody else?
And in fact, I want to say this real quick. When I built my home, a new neighborhood was developing. Behind me, it was just a field that hadn't been developed yet. And I asked the developer, I said, have you set the type of home, the plan that's going to be right behind my home yet? And they said no. And I said, I love my backyard's east facing the East Mountains. And I said, I just love the view of the mountains here. I would love it if you would consider building a rambler there so I don't lose my view of the mountains. Good Bill here he ended up buying that home. Well, about a year later, the developer developed it and it was a 2-story home. I didn't say one word to the developer. It's not my property. I didn't get what I wanted, but it wasn't my property to decide that.
One of the things that bothers me on this ordinance is in 3, it says standards. Trails shall be developed according to the standards established by the city and shall be of sufficient width and designed to safely accommodate two-way bicycle and pedestrian traffic into, out of, and within the development. Well, those standards could change as time goes on. It could be anything from being rough graded to actually requiring that it's asphalted, and fences, and it can be very expensive for a property owner to have to develop it. And so to me, that's not as specific as I'd like to see it.
Streets and roads and canals. What if a street just stopped or a canal just stopped? Those are a lot more of a necessity than a trail. And to me, that's like comparing hospital with a gymnasium. Our ambulances drive on the roads. They don't use the trails. The trail is going to be used for recreational purposes. It's definitely not a necessity. It's a nicety.
But I think it does boil down to an issue of what is constitutionally found.
To me, this really isn't a big issue of trails. It's an issue of taking private property without compensation so that we can have a trail system because some people want that.
I think it's a difficult decision that we have is how do we pay for things? And I think it's easy to go ahead and say, hey, we want this, and we're going to let somebody else pay for it and take that burden, but I don't think that's the right thing to do.
And it also says in here, as far as the facts, it says paths or trails are safer than sidewalks. I don't know if we've had too many casualties on sidewalks, but I have 5 daughters. And if my daughter was going to walk a mile to a friend's home, I would much rather have her take a sidewalk where people can see her than a back alley. And so it's a very debatable issue. But for me, it's not the right thing to do to take private property away from people. I'd love to have them. My heart says wonderful. I would love to have it in our community, but it's not my property.
All right, council, what I'm hearing then is that we'll remand this back to the planning commission for some adjustments to take care of some of the concerns that have been expressed, and then bring it back to us in the future, the near future.